Me and
Assalaamu Alaykum.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Like, what did I say?
We look like... Didn't we?
Assalaamu Alaykum and welcome back for another video. So today I'm joined by Bint Athens.
Assalaamu Alaykum, guys.
And we are starting a series called Revive a Sunnah, because we feel like every single sunnah can somehow be connected to mental health. So we asked you guys on both of our Instagram to send us some questions for the marriage Q&A, and we feel like marriage is such an important sunnah, and in this day and age there's just so much fitnah around and divorce rates are so high, and it's just something that we want to talk about and inshallah make easier for you guys, because the more people speak openly about these topics, the better it is for everyone basically. So we're just gonna get right into it and answer your questions.
So one of the first questions we got is, how do you know you're marrying the right one? So one of the ways that you can find out is look for 4 things. He has to fear Allah, he has to be on the Quran and Sunnah, and he has to be intelligent and have good character. Now by intelligence, it means like not just like PhD like and masters and all that. It means like having
intelligence in terms of the religion and in terms of Islam,
and how to apply that as well.
Yeah.
Not just like it memorized in his head, how to apply that.
To know that he has those 4 things, it's very important to ask in-depth questions, and like even if they're questions that like might catch him off guard a bit, that is a really good way to like figure out if they are the right one. One of the questions that you can ask is like, what time is Fajr tomorrow, for example, because anyone like can pray during the day, but obviously Fajr is a really important prayer, so you can literally ask them like, what time is Fajr tomorrow? Make sure that they get the exact time. Like if they know the exact time, you know that they are on deen, you know that they're praying their salat, and that is the most important thing.
Another way that I knew like that he was the one was I used to pray tahajjud. So I'd pray tahajjud consistently for like a year before I even met anyone. I would like pray for just marriage in general, and then obviously opportunities come your way and things happen, and that's when you can also pray.
So you can also pray istikhara. So a lot of people have a misconception about this, that once you pray it, you're gonna, if you have a bad dream then that's the end, if you have a good dream then that's the end, when really when you pray istikhara, you can do it for anything, and you're just asking Allah to, with your decision that you're about to make, put blessing in it and make it easier for you to do it. So in this way, like say if you were praying istikhara for marriage, then good things would unfold, but if bad things start to unfold, then you know that
It's not
obviously
meant to,
it's not meant to be, and it will be blocked for you in some way. But if it is meant to be, then it will be blessed, inshallah.
Inshallah. Another question we got, which was like, is there a certain age to get married? So I would say no, there isn't a certain age, but obviously the earlier you start looking, the better.
I think in this day and age where there's just so much fitnah around, it can be hard for certain people to get married as well. So I think that it is important to look young and make sure that you are looking, but because if you're to find a lot of people that you think, oh, they're wrong and they're not right for me, then if you start young, at least when you get to older, then like you're not too old, or you're never too old, but you don't feel like you're too old. You've given yourself time to find the right one, and you're as well, even if you was to find someone inshallah young, then that also protects you from fitnah, and it's good at the end of the day. It's a good sunnah to do. So
because a lot of time what happens is, like if you find someone and you're like in your mid-30s, you rush the process because you think you've only got a certain amount of time. But if you start young, you can actually make decisions. You can be like, you know what, I have time to say no to this one, to that one. But what happens is when you hit a certain age, a lot of people think that's it, like I have to marry the first person that comes to me or the second person, otherwise I'm not going to find anyone. So I wouldn't say there's a certain age, and we know this from like the sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he married Aisha and Khadija. I think he married Aisha at, I don't know if it was 9 or 6 or 13. But he married her, and what age?
One of them ages.
Yeah, one of those ages. But then she became widowed at like 18
I think. Yeah,
and then he married
18.
Khadija at like 42, was she, or 40s?
Yeah, I think about 40, yeah.
So you can see that in the way the Prophet's wives were, there was no specific age that they all got married. but they all tied their camel as well. Like they all, like Khadija, she found a good man and she approached him through a friend. So yeah.
Okay, so the next one we got is
This one, truly.
how do we approach cultural parents about marrying outside of our culture?
Which is a good question.
A very good question.
So I married an Asian, and it was hard at the beginning, and the hardest thing is the language barrier, cultural barriers, and that's the thing that worries parents. Like, how am I going to get along with their family? How are they going to get along with mine? Like, how will they adapt to our culture? Will they like us? I think if your parents, you know your parents best. If they're really like stubborn and they're not changing their minds, why don't you look within your own culture first? Maybe there is a brother or a sister out there who is a perfect match. So do the lesser of two evils. Don't just say, I'm going to marry outside my own culture just for the sake of it. Look inside your own culture, look outside. Don't be like, oh, just to prove a point. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Look inside your own culture, try and make your parents happy, try and make yourself happy. And then if it's not working out, like there's no one, then go outside your own culture. Yeah,
definitely. I think, not that it should be a last resort, but like it should kind of be, if at the end of the day, if you find someone in your culture who is going to please your family, then that is going to be a lot easier and better for you, because it is hard marrying outside of your culture.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But I think, yeah, if you still do want to go ahead with that, then just try and like definitely be patient, because it can be very hard for like different cultures to adapt to the idea. So it may be at first they're like completely no, then maybe you'll talk to them again and again and again, and like just be persistent, because they think that like if they say no at first, like it might just be a phase, or like you might find someone else. But if you're being consistent and stuff like that, then they're gonna know like, okay, my son or daughter's serious, and like I love them and I want what's best for them. Like if they're happy, I'm happy. That at the end of the day, that's what every single parent is gonna feel like at the end of the day. So you just be persistent if that's what you want, but be patient with their response as well, because it might not be like all happy straight away.
And that's where age comes in as well. The earlier you start talking about marriage to your parents, the quicker the process starts, and the quicker you're able to fight their ideas of like different races or something. And also, if you're praying tahajjud, pray to Allah that He softens your parents' hearts, basically.
Yeah. So the next one that we got was, how do you know you're ready for marriage?
I think basically you're never going to be ready for marriage. Like, you don't know what's coming. You can't. The only thing you can actually prepare for is your rights and his rights. Like knowing what his rights are, how you're going to fulfill them, the balance. Yeah.
I feel like you can't be like, I'm ready for something when you've never experienced it before, because how do you know? Like, how do you know what it even is? I think the way you can figure out is like, you can ask people who you know are married, like the responsibilities, and like as well, I think because the process can be quite long, like if you're willing to do the process, like, and you're willing to go through it all with your parents and sit down and find it, I think that's when like you can kind of know that you're ready. But I think don't wait until you think like, okay, well, I'm ready to get married now, because like you just never know. Like it will be when you will get married when Allah wants you to get married, not when you want to get married. So sometimes you may not think like, oh, I'm ready, but actually Allah knows that you're ready, or the opposite way around. You might think that you're ready, but actually you're not, and you need to wait. So
that's why prayer is important. You have to pray like tahajjud consistently to make you ready and to prepare your mindset for it. But in the end, you don't know, like until you actually get married and you settle in and you move in, you don't know what that spouse is like. You don't know how you're going to cope. That's why reading like your rights and making sure you're both upon like the deen is like really important, because then you know you're going to get along and you know you're going to understand how to deal with each other, if that makes sense, in a way that is like according to the Prophet's ways.
Yeah, because say if you were to like, inshallah this doesn't happen, but I'm like, I know the first year of marriage, people have said is really hard, and sometimes like the only thing that's keeping you married is like that you got married for the sake of Allah. So like, I think purifying your intentions as well is one of the biggest things that can like help. And
getting married for the sake of Allah is really important. Because like some people, you can get married for money, you can get married for looks, but all these things will literally fade. Like looks fade, and money, what if the next day he loses his job or you lose your job? So getting married for the sake of Allah is number one.
Okay, so the next question that we got was, how can a woman prepare herself for marriage? I think, again, just going back to making sure that you look at your rights and you look at the rights of your husband, and research, like it's quite similar to the one before, just make sure that you research and stuff like that. And I feel like in certain cultures there's so much pressure on like, oh, well, I need to learn to cook, I need to have done my education, or like I need to be working, or I need to not be working, or I need to do this, I need to do that, when I don't think that like that should really count. Like it should be, as long as you're Islamically in the right mindset and Islamically ready, I think is preparing yourself in terms of Islam and Deen is the best way. Because as well, like people always think that after marriage you're going to change, but so many people have said like you don't change. Like after marriage, you, even if you want to implement habits like do it before, because when you're with the other person it's so much harder to build in habits anyway, and you just get so much more lazy like when you're with them. Like you think, oh, I'm going to do this when I'm married, or I'm going to do that, but honestly like do it now, because it doesn't happen, okay?
Because you're also working on the other person. I think in today's day and age, one of the biggest things that need to prepare women for is the fact that your husband is now literally your maintainer and your protector. So whatever he says, as long as it's like not displeasing to Allah and not something that is abusive or something that is like really bad and you could tell the difference, he's basically now the boss. Like whatever and you have to understand that you're marrying someone who you have trust in, you're marrying someone that you know fears Allah, you know, you're marrying someone that you know is doing good for you. So one of the biggest things from going to a single girl, you know, enjoying life and doing her own thing, working, to now being in a house with like a man, you have to understand that you're going to have to give up that freedom a little bit for his sake, and for, because now he's your maintainer and your protector. Whatever he says, he has wisdom behind. That's why you have to marry someone who fears Allah and knows your rights, because you don't want someone to come in and to take advantage of that, or to say, oh, I'm doing this for your sake, but really it's like a cultural thing. So I think that's one of the biggest things that people find hard.
Yeah, definitely.
I found hard anyway.
I think people assume that like because he's your husband now, it's like he's gonna be your best friend and like you can do whatever you want. But to be honest, that's not always the case. Like he has as much responsibility for you once you get married as your dad does.
That's why
as soon as you do the nikah, every single thing that your dad has ever done for you then gets transferred as a responsibility to him. And I think a lot of brothers don't understand this as well. Like they think getting married is just about certain things, when it's not. It's a really big responsibility. Like, so yeah, it just comes back to being Islamically ready and praying and making dua, everything like that, because that's what's going to keep you strong. And
you were saying as well that to me, remember the other day, don't complete your happiness, as in don't expect your future spouse or your current spouse to complete your happiness and to make you happy.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Like it goes back to like the habits. Like if you think like, oh, I'm going to do this when I'm married, I'm going to be happy when I'm married, like no, like it's not, it doesn't change. Like you need to feel like you have everything that you want in yourself, and like that you're not going to look for in marriage. Like you're just going to, because you can still improve yourself when you're married. Like you don't have to be perfect to be married, but like don't think like I'm going to wait to do this until then, because it's just not going to happen.
Because you'll have a lot more burden on your shoulders as well. When it comes to that, like your kids, you're gonna have to also meet his your in-laws, his rights. So you're gonna have to take into account everyone else now. Whereas before it was just you and focusing on you. So you make the most of that time, basically.
Yeah, because you do face a lot of different tests, so you need to feel like completing what you wanted to do and then move on to a new chapter.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they go into marriage and they're like, I wanted to do this, but I've had kids, I can't do this now, and they have this regret and guilt. So try and do everything that you want to do before you get married. Not that marriage stops you, but like don't go into marriage with the regret like, oh, this is going to stop me from what I want to do or what I want to pursue. So think like, which one's more important to me?
So the next one is how to figure out he is responsible. So I think you were quite lucky, weren't you? Because you was at university.
Yeah.
So the way that like you met your husband was at uni, so she was in a position where she was able to ask ask his friends, ask like people who hung around with him, like how he was, how his character was, like if he was responsible. Like you had a lot of people that you could ask and go to without actually speaking directly to him. So I think if you are at uni, you are in a really good position to start looking for a spouse, because like there's so many ways in which you can like
observe them.
Yeah, as well. you can observe their actions. You can. Because that you are allowed to do that. You were saying that the other day. Like if you want a character in somebody else, you are allowed to watch them until you think like, okay, they've got
I'm
that character.
satisfied, yeah.
I'm satisfied that they've got that, they've got what I want, and then you look away and again you lower your gaze. But yeah, that is permissible to do that, to like look and see. So I guess, how would you know though? Like, how could you look at someone and think they're responsible?
I think you can also ask, well, so there's another way people get married, which is CVs. And basically your mum or your dad, they give you CVs and you pick, and then you have a meeting with them. I think one of the ways you can know he's responsible is he able to look after himself? Or is he not? Yeah. Like a lot of boys nowadays, like they rely on their mum a lot to do everything. So, and that means that he will also rely on you to do everything for him, because you're obviously taking the role now over. So ask yourself, is he able to do his own laundry? Is he able to cook? Is he able to clean? That doesn't mean like he has to do it after marriage, but is he able to take care of himself? Yeah, because like if you fall sick or like when you get pregnant and stuff like that, like if he doesn't know how to cook, if he doesn't know how to look after himself, like what are you gonna do? Eat takeaway every day? Like you can't do that. Like he needs to be able to help and provide for you. Like you can't just ride on you, because at the end of the day we're only human. We do get sick, we get tired, we get down. Like stuff like that happens. So yeah, that is important to just try and check for those things. And yeah, it goes back to like saying, oh, I'm gonna do this before marriage. If this person is saying like, oh, I'm gonna get a job when I marry you, or like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, like take people at face value. Like literally take them at face value. If there's one thing that's a red flag that you've been like, I do not like that, don't then be like, oh, but I'm starting to like him now, so yeah, that's the thing. Don't catch feelings. Yeah, don't literally, you need to write a list of things that is like your do's and don'ts. Like if they do this, it's no, like straight away in the bin. Like don't meet them and then think, oh yeah, but I kind of like them, like they had a nice voice, like I like what they were wearing. Like don't. And girls can do that quite easily. Yeah, like we get like just someone talking about emotions or how they cry or feelings and stuff, we get so attached. So just make sure you have a barrier there. Yeah, and just don't let it down for anyone, because as we've been speaking about this whole video, like it is a responsibility. Like this person is going to be responsible for you, so you need to have your guard up, and you need to have your list, and you need to have your like your boundaries basically. What's another question we've got? Okay, so the last one that we're going to do for today is, are looks important? What do you think? Yeah, I'd say so. They are. You have to be attracted to the person you're going to marry. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean like you have to have a really high, what's that word? High expectation. Oh. Like, oh, he has to look like this or this person or that. As long as he's decent and he's attractive to you, that's all that matters. Don't think, what's my friend going to say? What's this person going to say? Everyone's different as well. Yeah. Like, someone who I find attractive, you don't find attractive. Like, obviously you need to find someone who you are attracted to. Like although like Dean and stuff is important, but you need to have it with attraction together. Yeah, because you need both of them kind of carry the relationship, obviously for certain reasons, but like I think it is important, and you can't just dismiss looks at the end of the day, because it is a big thing. It is a big part of your marriage. You're going to be looking at that person every day. You're going to see that person at their ugliest. So if you already don't find them attractive, then you're really, really... And you're not being shallow. Think, what have I done? Yeah, you're not being shallow by saying looks is important to me. That's fine. But have a balance. Don't be like too dramatic when it comes to that. Definitely. A lot of girls say that when they get to know the personality, looks start to like... to form anyway. Yeah, so that's... Yeah, when you get feelings, like the looks will come. But as long as someone's like reasonable to you... And that's all that matters. Yeah, like... Yeah, so was that it? So yeah, that is the last one that we were going to do today. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, then you can go and find the part 2 on Bint Athens channel, inshallah. And yeah, let us know if you like these kind of videos. Yeah, definitely let us know. We're definitely going to be speaking about more stuff like this, inshallah, to come. Inshallah. So yeah, thank you for watching. Assalamu Alaykum, guys. Assalamu Alaykum.